Welcome to Emma's English.
Hey English learners, welcome back to Emma's English Talk, your cozy little place to learn real everyday English through natural conversations. I am Emma.
And I am Tom. Today we are diving into a topic that I think almost everyone has experienced, but we rarely talk about it openly.
Oh, I love those kinds of topics. What is on your mind today, Emma?
Well, have you ever walked into a tiny, beautifully decorated local boutique or a small independent shop just to have a look?
Yes, absolutely, all the time. I love supporting local businesses and seeing what unique things they have.
And then, after looking around for a few minutes, you realize nothing is quite what you want, or maybe everything is way too expensive?
Oh no, I know exactly where this is going. Exactly. You realize you have to leave, but the shop owner is standing right there, staring at you with a hopeful smile.
That is literally the most awkward feeling in the world.
It really is. You feel this intense pressure to buy something, anything, just to avoid the social awkwardness of walking out empty-handed.
It is like a silent battle of wills between your wallet and your social anxiety.
Yes, and today we're going to talk about that exact feeling and the strange things we do to escape those situations.
I have so many stories about this, Emma. I am glad we are finally bringing this into the light.
Me too. I thought I was the only one who suffered from this specific type of anxiety.
Definitely not. In fact, I think it's a universal human experience, especially in smaller shops where you can't just blend into the crowd.
That's the key point. In a massive supermarket or a department store, you're completely invisible.
Yes, you're just a face in the crowd there. Nobody cares if you walk out empty-handed.
But in a small shop, you're the only stage production and the shopkeeper is the entire audience.
That is a brilliant way to put it. You feel like you're performing the role of a customer.
And when you don't buy anything, it feels like you failed the audition.
Exactly. You feel like you have let them down or personally insulted their taste in merchandise.
It's so true. I actually had this happen to me just last weekend at a small artisanal candle shop.
Oh, tell me more. What happened?
Well, I saw these beautiful candles in the window and decided to step inside.
And was it one of those shops where the owner handcrafts everything themselves?
Yes, it was. The owner was incredibly sweet and immediately started telling me the story behind every scent.
That is the ultimate trap. Once they tell you the story, you're emotionally invested.
I know. She told me about how she sources the lavender from her grandmother's garden.
Oh, that is a heavy guilt trip right there.
I felt so much pressure. The candles were $50 each, which was way out of my budget.
$50 for a candle? That's definitely investment piece territory.
Exactly. I couldn't justify spending that much, but I felt so bad just walking out.
So what did you do? Did you buy one anyway?
I almost did, but instead I used one of my classic escape strategies.
I want to hear all about these strategies, but let's save them for our main discussion.
Good idea. First, let's dive deeper into why we feel this way.
Yes, let's analyze this strange psychological phenomenon.
Why do we care so much about what a stranger in a shop thinks of us?
I think it's because we are naturally social creatures who want to be liked and avoid conflict.
That makes sense. We don't want to seem rude or unappreciative of their hard work.
Exactly. We want to show respect, but our bank accounts have limits.
It's a delicate balance.
It really is.
Well, let's explore this more.
Yes, let's get into the details of our shopping habits.
I'm ready if you are.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's transition into our main talk.
Lead the way, Emma.
Let us start by talking about how we even end up in these small shops in the first place.
For me, it usually starts when I am just walking around a nice neighborhood on a Saturday afternoon doing some window shopping.
Window shopping. Ah, you mean when you were just looking at the items displayed in the shop windows without any real intention of buying them, right?
Exactly. You were just enjoying the visual displays and passing the time. It is very relaxing.
Yes, I love doing that too. But the danger is when a window display is so inviting that you actually step through the door.
Yes, you cross the threshold and suddenly the atmosphere changes completely.
The moment you hear that little bell ring above the door, the pressure begins.
Oh, that bell is like an alarm announcing your arrival to the shopkeeper.
It really is. And usually the shopkeeper will look up and say something like, "Hello, let me know if you need any help," or "Feel free to browse."
Browse? I hear that word all the time in shops. Does that just mean to look around casually?
Yes, precisely. To browse means to look through a collection of items casually without a specific plan to buy anything.
I always say, thank you, I'm just browsing, but even saying that makes me feel a bit self-conscious.
Why is that? It is a perfectly normal thing to say.
I feel like when I say I'm just browsing, the shopkeeper secretly hears, I'm not going to spend any money here.
I think you might be overthinking it, Tom. Shopkeepers expect people to browse.
Maybe, but once I start looking at the items, I feel like they are watching my every move.
Oh, they definitely are, especially in tiny boutiques where there are no other customers.
Yes, if you are the only person in the shop, every touch, every look is observed.
It makes me feel obligated to buy something.
Obligated? That means feeling like you have a duty or a social requirement to do something, right?
Yes, exactly. You feel a strong social pressure or a sense of duty, as if you owe it to them to make a purchase because they greeted you so warmly.
I get that feeling all the time. It's like they did something nice by welcoming me, so now I must do something nice by giving them my money.
Yes, it's the principle of reciprocity. But in a retail setting, it can be very dangerous for your wallet.
It really can. I have bought so many things I did not need just because of that feeling.
Really? Like what? Give me an example.
Once, I walked into a small gourmet spice shop. I was just curious, but the owner was so passionate.
Spices? That sounds interesting.
It was, but I don't even cook that much. Yet, after 10 minutes of him explaining the origins of different salts, I felt so obligated.
So, what did you buy?
I bought a jar of smoked black truffle sea salt for $25.
$25 for salt? Wow, Tom.
I know. It sat in my kitchen cabinet for 3 years, completely unused until I finally threw it away.
That is amazing. Every time you opened that cabinet, it must have been a monument to your social awkwardness.
It was a daily reminder of my inability to say no.
But that's the power of these small shops. The connection is personal.
It is. In a big chain store, you don't feel that connection at all.
Exactly. If you walk into a massive clothing store, the employees are usually busy folding clothes or working at the cash register.
Yes, they don't care if you buy anything or not. Their salary is the same either way.
But in a small shop, the person helping you is often the owner or someone whose livelihood depends directly on sales.
That adds a whole layer of emotional weight to the transaction.
It really does. You feel like if you don't buy something, you're directly affecting their ability to pay rent.
Which is an irrational way to think, but our brains are not always rational in social situations.
True. We want to be seen as supportive, kind people.
Yes, and leaving empty-handed feels like we're saying, your shop is not good enough for me.
Or your products are not worth my money.
Exactly. And that feels incredibly insulting.
So what we do is we create these elaborate performances to make it look like we wanted to buy something but just couldn't.
Oh, the performances are the best part. I have a whole repertoire of acts.
Tell me one of yours.
Well, one classic act is the serious inspection act.
How does that work?
I will pick up an item, like a ceramic mug, and look at it from every angle very intensely as if I'm a professional art critic.
Yes, I do that too. You nod your head slowly, pretending to appreciate the craftsmanship.
Exactly. And then I'll look at the bottom for the price tag, and even if the price is reasonable, I'll make a subtle face.
A face? Like a disappointed face?
Yes, a tiny, quiet sigh as if to say, oh, what a shame. It's just slightly out of my budget, or it's not quite the right size.
That's brilliant. It shifts the blame from you to the item itself.
Right. It's not that I don't want to support you. It's just that this specific mug doesn't meet my highly specific ceramic needs.
I use a similar tactic but with clothing.
Oh, the clothing shop performance. That must be even more complex.
It is. I'll hold up a shirt, look at the fabric, and then hold it against my body in front of the mirror.
And then what?
I'll shake my head slightly, murmuring to myself about the fit or the color so the shopkeeper can hear me.
Ah, the verbal cue. That's a crucial addition.
Yes, I might say something like, oh, I love this, but I think the shoulders are just a bit too wide for me.
That's perfect. It makes it sound like a logistical issue rather than a rejection of their taste.
Exactly. It shows I have high interest, but the physical reality of the garment is the only obstacle.
But what if they offer to check the back for a different size?
Oh, that's the worst nightmare scenario.
Yes, when they're too helpful, it ruins the entire excuse.
If they say, "Oh, we have a smaller size in the back, let me grab it for you," you're trapped.
At that point, you just have to say yes and pray it actually doesn't fit.
I've actually tried on clothes that I hated, praying they would look terrible on me so I would have a genuine reason to say no.
That's a high-stakes game, Emma. What if it actually looks good?
If it looks good, I'm doomed. I have to buy it.
This is why shopping in small boutiques is a high-stress sport.
It really is. It requires quick thinking and excellent acting skills.
Another tactic I use is the phone call defense.
Oh, please explain that one.
If I feel the pressure rising, I'll suddenly pull out my phone, look at it with a shocked expression, and pretend I just received an urgent message.
Do you actually pretend to talk to someone?
Sometimes, yes. I'll put the phone to my ear and say, "Oh, really? I'll be right there."
No way, Tom. That is hilarious.
It works every time. I can walk out quickly with a worried face, and the shopkeeper thinks I'm dealing with an emergency.
They probably think you're saving lives when, in reality, you're just saving $20.
Exactly. It's a victimless crime.
But don't you feel a bit ridiculous doing that?
Of course I do, but feeling ridiculous for 10 seconds is better than spending money on something I don't want.
That's a fair point. Our coping mechanisms are truly fascinating.
They are. It shows how much we value maintaining social harmony.
Yes, we'd rather construct an entire fake emergency than simply say, "Thank you, but I'm not interested."
Why is saying those simple words so incredibly difficult?
I think it's because it feels too direct, almost confrontational.
Yes, directness can sometimes feel like rudeness in our society.
Especially in cultures where politeness and indirect communication are highly valued.
That's true. It depends a lot on where you're from.
But even in very direct cultures, small shops still create this unique psychological pressure.
I agree. It's the proximity. You're physically close to the person who curated these items.
Yes, and their passion is contagious, but so is their expectation.
Well, let's continue this in the next part of our chat because I have even more embarrassing stories to share.
I would love to hear them, Tom. What other shopping disasters have you had?
Well, there was this one time in a tiny art gallery in a small tourist town.
Oh, art galleries are notorious for this.
Yes, they are. They are so quiet, and the art is usually very expensive.
And the gallery assistant is always sitting at a desk looking very sophisticated.
Exactly. I walked in just to escape a sudden rain shower, to be honest.
Ah, the classic rain excuse.
Yes, but the gallery owner immediately stood up and started explaining the artistic philosophy of a painting that looked like a blue square.
A blue square?
Just a blue square, and he talked for 15 minutes about the depth of the blue and the emotion of the artist.
That sounds intense. Did you feel guilt-tripped?
Guilt-tripped? You mean when someone makes you feel guilty so that you do what they want, right?
Yes, precisely. It is when you are made to feel bad or responsible, which pressures you into doing something like buying a painting in this case.
I felt incredibly guilt-tripped. He kept saying how hard it is for local artists to survive and how buying art is an investment in human souls.
Oh, wow. That is a very high level of emotional manipulation.
I know. The painting was $3,000.
$3,000? Surely you did not buy a blue square for $3,000.
No, I did not. I did not have that kind of money. But the pressure was so high that I ended up buying a $20 postcard of the blue square.
A $20 postcard? That is an expensive postcard.
It was, but it was the only way I could think up to escape the gallery.
That is amazing. You paid $20 just to leave.
Yes, it was essentially an exit fee.
I think many small shops make a significant portion of their revenue from these pity purchases.
Pity purchases. That is a great term for it.
Yes, when you buy something cheap that you do not want just to appease the owner.
Like buying a single piece of chocolate at an artisanal chocolate shop or a tiny sticker at a gift shop.
Exactly. It's like saying, "Here's $5. Please let me leave now."
It is a mutual understanding. The owner gets a small sale and you get your freedom.
But sometimes you do not even want to spend $5. You just want to slink out.
Slink. That is an interesting word. Does it mean to leave quietly because you feel embarrassed?
Yes, exactly. To slink means to move quietly, slowly, and stealthily, especially because you feel ashamed, embarrassed, or do not want to be noticed.
I have definitely tried to slink out of shops before, usually when the owner is distracted by another customer.
Yes, that is the perfect window of opportunity.
You see them turn their back to answer a question, and you immediately make your move towards the door.
You walk on your tiptoes trying not to make any sound.
Yes, and then the doorbell rings as you open it, and you feel like an escaping criminal.
It is a real rush of adrenaline.
It shouldn't be that dramatic, but it really is.
It's because we want to make a polite exit, but we don't know how.
Make a polite exit. That means leaving a situation in a nice, respectful way, right?
Yes, indeed. It is when you are made to feel bad or responsible, which pressures you into doing something, like buying a painting in this case.
I felt incredibly guilt-tripped. He kept saying how hard it is for local artists to survive and how buying art is an investment in human souls.
Oh, wow, that is a very high level of emotional manipulation.
I know. The painting was $3,000.
$3,000? Surely you did not buy a blue square for $3,000.
No, I did not. I did not have that kind of money. But the pressure was so high that I ended up buying a $20 postcard of the blue square.
A $20 postcard? That is an expensive postcard.
It was, but it was the only way I could think of to escape the gallery.
That is amazing. You paid $20 just to leave.
Yes, it was essentially an exit fee.
I think many small shops make a significant portion of their revenue from these pity purchases.
Pity purchases, that is a great term for it.
Yes, when you buy something cheap that you do not want just to appease the owner.
Like buying a single piece of chocolate at an artisanal chocolate shop or a tiny sticker at a gift shop.
Exactly. It's like saying, here's $5, please let me leave now.
It is a mutual understanding. The owner gets a small sale and you get your freedom.
But sometimes you do not even want to spend $5. You just want to slink out.
Slink. That is an interesting word. Does it mean to leave quietly because you feel embarrassed?
Yes, exactly. To slink means to move quietly, slowly, and stealthily, especially because you feel ashamed, embarrassed, or do not want to be noticed.
I have definitely tried to slink out of shops before, usually when the owner is distracted by another customer.
Yes, that is the perfect window of opportunity.
You see them turn their back to answer a question, and you immediately make your move towards the door.
You walk on your tiptoes trying not to make any sound.
Yes, and then the doorbell rings as you open it, and you feel like an escaping criminal.
It is a real rush of adrenaline.
It shouldn't be that dramatic, but it really is.
It's because we want to make a polite exit, but we don't know how.
Make a polite exit. That means leaving a situation in a nice, respectful way, right?
Yes, indeed. It is when you are made to feel good or trying to leave quietly.
Of the decis is a sense that people are paying attention to you.
Yes, exactly. We think the shopkeeper is devastated by our departure, but they're probably just thinking about what to have for lunch.
Exactly. Or they're just happy to have a moment's peace in the shop.
It's very liberating when you realize that.
It really is. It takes away so much of the anxiety.
But still, it's hard to overcome that initial instinct to please people.
I agree. It's deeply ingrained in us.
I wonder if this anxiety is worse in certain countries.
I think so. In places where customer service is extremely attentive, like in Japan, it can feel even more intense.
Oh yes, the staff there are so polite and helpful that you feel like a king, which makes leaving empty-handed feel like a betrayal.
On the other hand, in some European countries, the staff might completely ignore you, which is actually quite nice if you just want to browse.
Yes, sometimes cold customer service is a blessing in disguise.
I never thought I would prefer being ignored, but in retail, it can be very peaceful.
It really can. You can look at everything at your own pace without any pressure.
But then, when you actually need help, you can't find anyone.
That is the irony of shopping.
You can never win.
It seems that way.
But overall, I think local shops are worth the occasional awkward moment.
Oh, absolutely. They have so much character and unique items.
Yes, they make neighborhoods interesting and diverse.
And the stories behind the products are often wonderful.
Even if they cost $50.
Even then, it's about supporting a dream.
Yes, a dream and a craft.
So, next time I'll try to be braver.
Me too. No more fake phone calls for me.
I will see about that, Tom. I believe it when I see it.
Hey, I'm trying to grow as a person here.
I believe in you, Tom.
Thank you, Emma. I appreciate the support.
Anytime, my friend.
This has been such a therapeutic conversation.
It really has. It's good to share these small struggles.
Yes, it makes you realize you're not alone in your quirks.
Definitely.
I agree completely.
Well, this brings us to a nice point in our conversation.
Yes, let's keep chatting.
I think we have covered a lot of ground today about shopping.
We certainly have.
It's funny how such a simple activity can have so much psychological depth.
It really is.
I love analyzing these everyday moments.
Me too. They're the building blocks of our lives.
Beautifully said, Tom.
Thank you.
Let's continue exploring these ideas.
Yes, what else do you want to discuss regarding this?
Well, what about the layout of the shops?
The layout is a major factor.
Yes, some shops are designed like a maze, so you have to walk past everything to get to the exit.
That's a classic trap. You can't just turn around and leave.
Exactly. You're forced to walk past the register again.
It's like a walk of shame.
It really is. You feel everyone is looking at you.
Especially if you have to squeeze past other people in a narrow aisle.
Yes, saying, "Excuse me," just to leave empty-handed.
It's tough.
But we survive.
We do. We always find a way.
Indeed.
It's all part of the experience.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Let's keep going.
Yes. Let us move forward.
Great.
I am ready.
Let's transition smoothly.
Yes, let's do that.
Sounds perfect.
Go ahead.
All right, let's keep talking.
Yes, let us continue.
This is great.
I am enjoying this immensely.
Thinking about how we express this anxiety in English reminds me of some great natural phrases we use today.
Oh, yes. We used some really nuanced language that is perfect for upper intermediate and advanced learners.
Exactly. For example, instead of just saying you want to leave a shop, you can talk about wanting to make a polite exit.
Yes, make a polite exit sounds much more sophisticated than just saying go away or leave.
It does. It shows that you care about the social dynamics of the situation.
And what about the word browse?
Yes, using browse instead of just look is much more natural when you are in a store.
For instance, if a shop assistant asks if you need help, you can say, "No thanks, I am just browsing."
That is the perfect standard phrase. It is polite and clear.
It is much better than saying, "I do not want to buy anything."
Definitely. That would sound a bit too harsh.
And we also talked about window shopping.
Yes, that is a classic idiom. It's great for describing a casual weekend activity.
You can say, "I spent my Sunday afternoon window shopping downtown."
It paints a very clear picture of a relaxed day.
What about the word obligated? How can learners use that naturally?
You can use it in many contexts, not just shopping. For example, you can say, "I felt obligated to attend the meeting," or "I felt obligated to help my friend move."
It is a great way to describe that internal pressure we feel due to social expectations.
Yes, it is much more precise than just saying, "I felt like I had to do it."
And then we have guilt-tripped.
That is a very common colloquial expression. You can say, "My mom guilt-tripped me into visiting her this weekend."
Or, "The salesperson guilt-tripped me into buying this warranty."
Yes, it is a very useful phrase for describing emotional pressure.
And finally, the word slink.
Yes, slink is a wonderful descriptive verb. It adds so much imagery to your speech.
Instead of saying, "I left the room quietly," you can say, "I slunk out of the room."
Notice the past tense there, slunk. It sounds very vivid.
It really does. It sounds like a cat moving stealthily.
Exactly. These kinds of words are what make your English sound truly advanced and expressive.
I agree. Moving from basic verbs to more descriptive ones is a key step in language learning.
It is. It allows you to express subtle emotions and actions.
It makes your stories much more engaging to listen to.
Yes, like your story about the blue square painting.
Hey, that was a real emotional journey for me.
I can tell. You are still processing the trauma of that $20 postcard.
I am. It is a scar that may never fully heal.
Well, at least you got a good story out of it.
That is true. Stories are the best currency.
Indeed they are.
I'm glad we can laugh about it now.
Me too, Tom.
It is the best medicine.
Absolutely.
I could not agree more.
It's wonderful to share these moments.
Yes, it is.
Well, let us move on to our next little chat.
Yes, let us do that.
Sounds great.
Lead the way.
All right.
I am ready.
Let's keep going.
Yes, let us.
Excellent.
What's next?
I have a little update for our listeners.
Oh, tell us about it.
It's something very useful.
I am intrigued.
I think they will love it.
Let us hear it.
Well, here it is.
Go ahead, Emma.
Speaking of remembering new words, did you know we have a full PDF script available for this episode?
Oh, that is fantastic. Where can our listeners find it?
It is completely free, and you can download it using the link in the description below or in the pinned comment.
That is so helpful because reading along while listening is a great way to improve comprehension and pronunciation.
Yes, it is perfect for shadowing practice, which is when you speak at the same time as us to match our rhythm.
I highly recommend doing that. It really helps with natural flow and accent reduction.
And if you are enjoying this episode, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell.
Yes, your support means the world to us and helps us keep creating these free lessons for English learners everywhere.
We love being part of your English learning journey, so let us know how we are doing.
Absolutely. We read every single comment.
Yes, we really do.
It is the best part of our day.
It truly is.
So go grab that PDF script.
Yes, do not miss out on it.
It is a great resource.
And now, let us do a quick recap.
Yes, let us review what we learned today.
I am ready for the final recap.
Let us dive in.
All right, and speaking of reviewing, before we say goodbye today, let us do a quick recap of our 6 key vocabulary expressions.
Excellent idea. Let us start with the first one, which was window shopping.
Yes, window shopping is when you look at items in shop windows without planning to buy them.
And the second one was to browse, which means looking through things in a shop casually.
Third, we had obligated, which is feeling a social pressure or duty to do something.
Fourth was guilt-tripped, meaning made to feel guilty so that you do what someone else wants.
Fifth was slink, which is to move quietly and stealthily because you feel embarrassed or ashamed.
And finally, sixth, we had to make a polite exit, which means to leave a situation gracefully and respectfully.
These are all such useful high-level terms for daily life.
They really are. They help you describe very specific, nuanced human behaviors.
I hope our listeners find them helpful next time they are shopping.
Or next time they need to escape an awkward situation.
Yes, that is probably more likely.
Indeed.
So, Tom, what is our question of the day for our listeners?
Oh, I would love to know, have you ever felt obligated to buy something in a small shop?
Yes, and what is your favorite strategy for making a polite exit?
Do you pretend to get a phone call like I do, or do you have another secret method?
Please let us know in the comments below. We really want to read your answers.
Yes, we love hearing your stories.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Keep practicing your English, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care.
See you soon.